A player fell on the ground, never to wake up again. Another lost his father in a stadium crash.
Newcastle will hold a minute's silence before the game following the death of their former winger Christian Atsu in the devastating earthquakes in Turkey.
Another had to see his whole team die. These are the most emotional moments in football history. We start with two players who witnessed the most horrible thing of their lives while on board a plane to play finals in a football league.
Na hora, eu não quis sair dali. Aí eu vi o Foma, olhar para ele, ele insistiu para eu sentar com ele.
The celebrations of this Brazilian team took a turn for the worse when they onboarded Lemia Flight 2933 in 2016, not knowing what awaited them. Chapecoense had recently qualified for the finals of Copa Sudamericana and were flying from Brazil to Medellin. The clips of their celebration made their way to social media, but before they could play in the finals, the flight crashed.
The deadly plane crash, the images of that team celebrating along the way on their journey. But then the flight overnight crashing, nearly everyone on board was. The flight was carrying a Brazilian soccer team to a finals match, crashing on a hillside in Colombia. And we have just learned here what happened right before that crash.
And along with 52 other passengers, 19 Brazilian footballers met a tragic end. Luckily, 6 people were somehow found outside the plane near the crash site and survived. Among them were these 2 players who survived the crash, but had to watch their whole team perish before them.
Quando eu acordei e aí veio esse psicólogo e com os doutores, junto com os doutores da Copa, aí o psicólogo falou: ó, Jacques, o seu avião caiu, o avião de vocês caiu, fez boom, você perdeu a perna, não vai poder mais jogar futebol.
Next, how would you like to live with the guilt of sending someone forcefully on their last flight? On January 21st, 2019, when Argentinian footballer Emiliano Sala and his pilot David Ibatson were seen at Nantes Atlantic Airport checking in to board their flight. No one knew the tragic route their plane would take. No one, except for maybe Ibatson.
David Ibatson raised concerns about the plane.
I picked a footballer up from Cardiff. He's just been bought from Nantes. I think it's about £20 million worth or something. They've entrusted me to pick him up in a dodgy Mirage. Normally I have my life jacket in between my seats, but tomorrow we're wearing my life jacket, that's for sure. This aircraft, I think it's got to go back in the hangar. Might be your last chance to have a good old chat with me in a good old boat tomorrow. Normally I have my life jacket
This was the pilot of the flight showing his concerns to his friends over the status of the plane he was about to fly, taking Salah to his new team. The footballer was making his move from Nantes to Cardiff, but he didn't want to leave his hometown. He made the decision under immense pressure from his family, coach, and mentors, and hopped on the plane. Because of the language barrier, Salah couldn't communicate properly with his pilot, but even he had fears that he shared with his family over a voice message.
Hermanitos, ¿cómo andan loquitos locos? Hermano, estoy muerto.
Así que nada, muchachos. Estoy acá arriba del avión que parece que se está por caer a pedazos. 1 hora y media no tiene novedades mías. No sé si van a mandar a alguien a buscarme porque no me van a encontrar, pero ya saben. Papá, qué miedo que tengo.
Unfortunately, all of his fears turned out to be true. The plane disappeared from radar with no contact with anyone on board. The entire football world was in shock. Many football stars, including Kylian Mbappe, raised nearly $540,000 to fund a private search for Salah. Everyone was hoping for good news, but 2 weeks later, their worst fears were confirmed. The wreckage of the plane was found 220 feet below the water, with Salah's body inside. David Ibatson's body was never recovered. Just hours before the crash, the very last photograph Salah posted on his Instagram page was captioned, La Ultima Ciao, the last goodbye, which, tragically, turned out to be true. But that caption is just as good as Luka Lukashvili's magically moving hands. Thankfully, Luka Lukashvili's one clever move saved us from another heartbreaking goodbye. You see, Austria Vienna's George Teigl was knocked unconscious after suffering a head injury from a brutal collision. He swallowed his tongue and fell right on the ground with everyone waiting for the paramedics to come, but not Luka Lukashvili. Within a blink of an eye, he shoved his hand into Teigl's mouth and stopped him from choking to death. Luckily, Teigl regained consciousness and was taken to a local hospital where our hero Luka was honored with the FIFA Fair Play Award for his life-saving actions. But no amount of life-saving efforts were enough to save this next aspiring football player. In 2023, an earthquake hit Turkey like nothing ever before. The casualties and losses were incalculable. And while the media was filled with these devastating headlines, the fate of former English Premier League player Christian Atsu was hanging in doubt.
Atsu had been missing since the earthquake devastated southern Turkey on the 6th of February. His family had gathered near his home in Antakya, but after 2 weeks of searching, their hope ran out.
Atsu was playing for Hatayspor in the Turkish Super League and was scheduled to fly out of the area hours before the earthquake hit, but stayed after scoring the winning goal in a match the day before. He was last seen in his house, which became a pile of rubble after the earthquake. Search and rescue teams tirelessly sought signs of him, while fans clung to hope for positive news, but it was not to be. Atsu's body was discovered under the rubble of his house. His agent confirmed the heartbreaking news of his passing. His former teammates mourned his loss. May his soul rest in peace.
Newcastle will hold a minute's silence before the game following the death of their former winger Christian Atsu in the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria.
Very difficult day. To wake up to that news was devastating for me, everyone associated with Newcastle, everyone who knew Christian. As you say, it puts everything into perspective. We're devastated for him and his family.
But hey, I feel like things are getting a little sadder in this video, and before it spirals out of control, how about something wholesome? And there's nothing more wholesome than fighting for your little fan. Christian Pulisic was on fire in Borussia Dortmund versus Liverpool. But hear me out, the real drama happened after the match. A young fan made a dash from the stands, sprinting towards Pulisic to grab a quick selfie with his hero, but enter security. Before the kid could even properly reach him, the guard took him away. But not before Pulisic watched the whole thing. I love how one of the Dortmund managers is just plainly fighting with the guard. But hey, how about that time Tottenham defenders stopped a match in between play and the refs just agreed with them? The match between Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur was stopped by the Tottenham defenders, Sergio Reguilón and Eric Dyer, who had no idea exactly what was happening in the stands, but they knew it was bad. Dyer quickly alerted the medical staff, and it became clear the fan was having a heart attack. The referee immediately stopped the game, and the players were led to an area under the stands. For 20 tense minutes, doctors worked hard to save that fan's life, and thankfully, they succeeded. The patient was then taken to the hospital for further care. The Newcastle crowd applauded the Tottenham players for their quick actions. Post-match, when they were asked about the incident, Reguilón, my guy, explained it quite humbly.
I saw one guy lying down, and one man is doing like this. I was very nervous. I went to the referee. I said, "Referee, look this. We cannot play like this. Stop the match." And the referee and the linesman looked there and stop the match. Now I think it's okay, right? It's okay.
Here he's in a stable
more important than everything. That's more important.
One of football's most tragic events happened when a helicopter took off from a stadium and crashed 2 minutes later. This crash right here led to the most shocking news ever to come out of a football stadium.
The BBC has been told the owner of Leicester City Football Club was on board the helicopter that crashed and burst into flames just minutes after taking off from the King Power Stadium last night.
Reports later showed everything was working fine on the helicopter until suddenly the control shaft, which keeps it balanced, broke. It sent the copter spiraling out of control just above the roof of the stadium. Honestly, everything happened so fast, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. The aftermath scenes were heartbreaking, and no one on board survived the crash. The owner of Leicester City Football Club, Wichaisi Wadanaprapa, along with 2 staff members and 2 pilots, all gone in an instant. It was such a tragedy that brought the whole community together. Fans placed memorials outside the stadium.
It's just terrible because they're such nice people. Really genuine, humble people that care for the community and for the club and the people. It's just terrible.
Just thoughts of everybody on board, you know, the pilots, the family, everybody. It's just the thoughts for them and their families, really, first thing.
And when Jamie Vardy, Leicester's star player, showed up to pay his respects, he couldn't hold back his tears. Leicester's players played their next game to honor their owner.
55 on the clock, and how much does this goal mean to Demarai Gray and Leicester City Football Club?
But that was not it. After the match, the team flew 6,000 miles to Bangkok for the owner's funeral. And man, when they all greeted Wichai's son, standing and mourning his father, it just doesn't get any sadder than that. Back in 2011, Jody Lukaku was Amsterdam's shining star, a winger with speed, charisma, and an eye for goals. But as the years passed, he struggled to maintain that momentum.
Nou, je laatste keer bij Ajax, want ik lees allemaal geruchten dat je verhuurd wil worden of verkocht wil worden. Wat zijn jouw plannen?
Dat weet ik nog niet. Beide opties zijn bespreekbaar. Verhuren, verkopen, bij Ajax blijven. Alles is bespreekbaar, dus ik zie het wel.
Bouncing from one team to another across the Netherlands, Bulgaria, and Turkey. Then, in 2021, it seemed like fate was giving him a second chance to shine when he decided to return to Dutch football with Twente. But that happiness was short-lived. A devastating knee injury shattered his dreams. And if that wasn't enough, things took a darker turn when he attended a family party and got into a physical fight with his own cousins and their friends. The punches he took were brutal, leaving him battered and bruised. He was taken to the hospital with knee and head pain. After amputations and being put in an artificial coma, he died of a cardiac arrest at the age of 29 at a hospital in Almere. Fans gathered at Twente Stadium to honor the former Ajax player, but emotions ran high when his young son stepped onto the field, his tiny steps echoing through the silence.
Vandaag is zo'n dag. Zo'n dag waar je met gemengde gevoelens naar een voetbalwedstrijd gaat kijken. Want het zal u vast niet...
Twente players and staff, some with tears, gathered around him.
Jody Lukaku is overlijk bericht voor de hele voetbalwereld, maar ook in het bijzonder voor alles en iedereen dat Twente een warm hart en de rest is geschiedenis.
Man, it's hard to watch. But do us a favor, if you're learning anything by watching this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Unless you want to end up like Lionel Messi in this next clip. During the Copa America final in 2016, it looked like Messi took all the blame for losing when he missed his penalty against Chile.
Argentina last summer, he went to the left of Claudio Bravo and scored. Bravo, 6'1", Can Messi put Argentina in front? He missed it!
The dreams of lifting the trophy for Argentina shattered when Messi's side lost in penalties. While Chilean players celebrated their victory, Argentines were crying, and rightly so. It was a tough blow to absorb. But then came another final of Copa America in 2021. And this time, Messi's side was ready.
Argentina are champions of South America. Neymar and Messi embrace. Finally comes to an end. Tears as well, not just on the pitch.
Messi and Neymar sharing a hug became the talk of the town. Wait, no. It became the talk of the world, actually. At least these two legends had each other to hug. Because my guy Vinicius Jr., just 18, had to go through this pain of a career-ending injury alone. Considered one of the best players in the world, Vinicius was known for his pace, finishing, and dribbling ability. He was injured when he took a shot against Ajax, with tears welling up in his eyes. He wasn't ready to leave the field. Luckily for him and all his fans, his injury was not career-threatening. When he came back and scored his first goal, his celebrations told everyone just how much he missed being on the field and how much football means to him.
Whether it does or not, the end result is the same. It's in the back of the net. 1-0.
Vinicius just had an injury to overcome. Danish star Christian Eriksen proved seasoned cardiologists wrong. In May 2021, Eriksen suffered a cardiac arrest in the 42nd minute of Denmark's first game of the European Championship against Finland. And the Danish fans' cheers quickly turned to tears as they watched their best midfielder fight for his life. Players and referees swiftly formed a circle around Eriksen to block the cameras. The whole stadium fell into a deadly silence. In those critical moments, Captain Simon Kjær rose to the occasion and repositioned Eriksen's tongue to prevent him from choking on it and started CPR until the medical team arrived. While doctors worked to revive him, Kjær comforted Eriksen's wife, Sabrina. After 15 intense minutes, Eriksen was carried out of the stadium and rushed to the hospital. After that, some thought his career was over. The world anxiously waited for good news, and thankfully, the hospital confirmed that Eriksen was alive and well. Fans from all around the globe sent him flowers, encouraging the player to keep fighting. And then, after a long wait of 259 days, Eriksen was back on the pitch for the second time. There were many teary eyes in the stadium that day. That reminds me of Dario Asugo, who cried tears of happiness when he stepped on the field as the youngest player in Sporting Lisbon's history. That day, the football world welcomed a kid on his way to greatness. And, well, no one can forget the time when an equally great legend was laid to rest. In 2020, Diego Maradona, known as the Golden Boy, died. And as much as we'll miss him for his insane goals and dribbling skills, there's one person who'll miss him for the person and father he was, his daughter Dalma. The pair used to cheer together for Boca Juniors, and when the team dedicated a goal to Maradona after his demise, Dalma couldn't help but cry. Showing how much her dad meant to her. And if tears are meant to show love, then Jermaine Defoe definitely proved his love for this little mascot suffering from cancer.
Very sad news. You'll all remember Bradley Lowery, who was the Sunderland fan. He was a mascot for Sunderland quite a few times last season. We know that he was best friends with Jermaine Defoe. We saw Jermaine Defoe break down in his news conference at Bournemouth yesterday because Bradley's condition was deteriorating. He suffered from neuroblastoma.
For English player Defoe, this cute little kid was no less than a son and best friend. It was evident from his breakdown at a news conference.
Into perspective. I mean, there's not a day that goes past where, where I don't wake up in the morning and sort of like check my phone or think about little Bradley, because his love's genuine and I can see it in his eyes when he looks at me. So it's just, it's special, so yeah.
The young Sunderland fan who became a beloved mascot for the team suffered from neuroblastoma, a rare cancer. With his innocence, Bradley touched the hearts of many, especially Defoe. And when he died, the news broke the hearts of all his fans, including Defoe and mine. May his soul rest in peace, and may he keep playing football in the heavens. Just like Frank Lampard continued playing even when he was on the verge of giving up. Yes, Frank lost his mother in 2008, but he turned that pain into gain for Chelsea when he scored a goal that helped Chelsea get into their first ever European Cup.
Big fan in particular. Lampard scores! And that is something special!
He broke down after that goal and dedicated the win to his mother. Speaking of cups and finals, I just remembered the insane frustration of Chelsea players when they lost their chance at a final, all because of one man working against them. Chelsea was facing Barcelona in the 2009 Champions League semi-finals. The first leg, a snoozer, which ended in a dull draw. So everything was riding on the second leg in Stamford Bridge. And bam!
Lampard looking to pull it back.
Just 9 minutes in, Essien decides to rock the world with an absolute banger. Chelsea fans, they're going bonkers, of course. But then, referee Tom Henning-Overbo becomes public enemy number one for Chelsea supporters, denying them not one, not two, but 4 clear penalties.
To keep that one in, he was really caught by surprise then. Good play by Maneuver, he goes down. We think this Drogba just smashed. Lampard has helped him through, and Drogba controls. He's gone down, the referee looked at his linesman, and they're gone here. Anelka, is that handball against PK? The referee says no. Does he move hand? Terry, Eto broke from him. He's gone down. Red shirt as Lampard takes the corner and was up there and got ahead to it.
Despite dominating the game, Chelsea's lead is only 1 goal. And don't forget, this was the time when away goals counted, which meant Barcelona only needed 1 goal to send Chelsea packing. And in the 93rd minute, Iniesta scored that dagger of a goal.
Eto broke from him, but it's Iniesta! And the Chelsea cover their eyes in horror. 2 from time, and it's heartbreak at Stamford Bridge.
Wait, that goal shouldn't have counted because of an alleged handball by Barcelona's Samuel Eto'o, but the ref failed to notice it and awarded the goal. After the final whistle, Chelsea fans were upset. And not to mention Didier Drogba, who confronted the ref for his outright brutal blunders.
From Norway is the strongest official you can put. This is supposed to...
What happened with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge is easily the most painful exit in the history of football. But it's nothing compared to losing a life. Dying on the field you love playing on. I don't know if it's tragic or an honor. It was a normal match between Dynamo Bucharesti and Viitorul Constantia in 2016 when Patrick Ekang, a Cameroonian professional footballer, collapsed on the field just 7 minutes after coming on as a substitute. No one knew at the time, but he never got up. It was a tragic demise, the cause of which turned out to be a heart attack. Now from an unexpected medical episode to being targeted just because of your fame. Just ask Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Dele Alli. After buying a luxurious mansion and flashy rides, he thought he was on top of the world. But then, Premier League players started to fall victim to robberies. Dele brushed that off. I mean, just look at his security. He's got fences and a warning sign. Well, that wasn't enough to stop those robbers at all. One night, armed robbers invaded his home while he was with his partner, and at knife point, they robbed him of all the gold they could find in that $1 million mansion. This left Ali with a black eye, £350,000 dent, and unable to train for weeks.
Good morning. The England midfielder Dele Alli is held at knife point during a burglary at his home. Jewellery was stolen and Ali punched during the incident at his house in North London.
I'm glad he made it out of that situation alive. But Messi and his whole squad wouldn't have escaped certain death if it weren't for 18 minutes. In 2016, the Argentine squad faced a crushing 3-0 loss in the World Cup qualifiers. After leaving the stadium, they hurried to board the Avro RJ-85 airplane. Initially, everything seemed routine, but 4 hours into the flight, the plane ran out of fuel. Suddenly, the entire team and club staff were in grave danger as the fuel gauge hit empty. The pilots tried frantically contacting airports or landing strips, but to no avail. No one was getting in contact with the cockpit crew, and panic set in as minutes passed, and the team clung to hope for dear life. Finally, someone responded, and with just 18 minutes left, the plane made a miraculous landing just in time. But forget minutes, because in the football world, all it takes are a mere 17 seconds to turn a star into shadow. Abdelhak Nouri was destined to do great things. I mean, the best in his field kind of great. I'm not kidding. It was evident from his time in Ajax's youth academy, which he joined at just 7 years old. He captained teams throughout his youth career. His positive personality earned him love from the entire club. People used to call him Appy. And when he made his debut on September 21st, 2016, alongside rising stars Matthijs de Ligt and Frenkie de Jong, he was the brightest among all on the field. But on a summer day in Austria, during a friendly game, the 20-year-old midfielder suddenly collapsed because of cardiac arrest. It took the medics a critical 17 seconds to get on the field. This lapse led to severe, permanent brain damage, meaning Nouri would never play football again. Ajax later admitted that the initial medical response was not good enough. The news devastated Amsterdam.
En klapt voor Abdelhak Nouri. Daar staat zijn broer, daar staat zijn vader. Een hart.
Appy was loved by everyone and had thousands of fans, players, and staff gathering in front of his house to show their support and respect. The scene was filled with tears and emotions as the community rallied around Nouri and his family.
Hi Nouri, I'm Cristiano. It's just to wish you a happy birthday. I wish that you recover fast.
And I'm glad that at least no one tried to make a fortune out of his misery like one fan did with Messi. This might sound ridiculous, but after wearing Blaugrana jersey for 17 seasons, making the record appearances for the club, scoring the most goals, winning the most titles, having the most wins, our star Messi had to do the most difficult thing of his life. Officially ending things with Barcelona in a press conference. And one fan made $1 million off of it. Messi spent nearly 2 decades playing for Barcelona. The club was like a second home to him, and when he was forced to leave, he couldn't control his emotions.
Buen día. La verdad que no sé si va a poder hablar. En estos últimos días estuve pensando, dándole vuelta a ver qué iba a decir, qué podía decir. La verdad que no me salía nada. Estaba bloqueado, como no estoy ahora todavía. Es muy difícil esto para mí. Después de tantos años, no estaba preparado. Gracias a todo el mundo.
This was the time when his wife handed over a tissue for him to wipe his tears. Well, with so many emotions welling up, Messi had to use that tissue again and again. But he had no idea this tissue was going to make more headlines than the amount of times he used it. One of his fans in the room snatched that tissue and put it on eBay for a whopping $1 million. Yeah, they claimed Messi's tears could clone him in the future or something. But hold on, it actually gets weirder. Messi's biggest fan was a supermodel. And she was after that tissue because all she wanted to do with it is pose naked with it. And she was ready to cough up some serious bucks for it. But coughing up bucks is far better than outright abusing a whole country. Now you know Zlatan, and you know he doesn't tolerate nonsense. So when his PSG team lost a match against Bordeaux, apparently because of a bad referee call, he couldn't control his anger.
Like 15 years, never seen referee in this country. Don't even deserve peace, he should be in this country.
Now, let's just agree that Zlatan crossed a line he shouldn't have. So much so that a French politician, Marine Le Pen, asked him to hit the road and leave France if he didn't like the country and its people. Of course, our guy realized his mistake and apologized to the French people.
First of all, was not aiming for the people or whoever there. When I said it, I was angry in that moment, and whoever felt offended or took it in a wrong way, if they took it, I apologize for them. I have no problem.
But I wonder if the parents of Kevin De Bruyne regret abandoning their son in his childhood. This isn't widely known, but his journey to stardom began with a childhood tragedy that could have crushed his dreams, but instead, it ignited a fire within him. Growing up in Belgium, Kevin dreamed of becoming a professional football player. But living in a small city meant he didn't have the opportunities he needed to succeed. So at just 14 years old, he made a bold decision to leave his parents and attend a boarding school in pursuit of his passion. Initially, things seemed to be going well for Kevin, but at the end of the year, his foster parents dropped a bombshell. They didn't want him back because they found him difficult to handle. It was a devastating blow, but instead of giving up, Kevin used it as fuel to prove them wrong, and he turned that pain into motivation.
I say goodbye to the foster parents. I come home and my parents were like sad, crying, and I'm like, what's wrong? The foster parents don't want you to come back anymore. I'm like, why? Because of who you are. I'm like, what? Yeah, you're difficult to handle, you're very quiet. The kids who were there, it's very difficult to interact. They just find you difficult. Yeah, it's not nice to hear because in the end, I'm just a quiet person, shy person, and that's been given to me as difficult. So in the end, you're like...
He worked his way up from the second team of Genk to eventually landing a spot at Manchester City, one of the biggest clubs in the world. There, he dazzled fans with his skill and determination.
Little bit of space out wide for De Bruyne. De Bruyne now with a bending cross. Holland! 1-0 City! De Bruyne gets his 100th Premier League assist. Of course he does!
Earning accolades and setting records along the way. His perseverance paid off when finishing third in the Ballon d'Or voting, solidifying his status as one of the best players in the world.
Conversation, I think, beginning of the season, somewhere in August, with the mother. The mother came there because obviously she had the other people coming there, and she started to explain, yeah, but we wanted you to go to the boarding school, and then in the weekend you can come. And I just said at that time, I'm like, you don't want me, I don't care. I don't care about you guys anymore. You know, I was nice to you. You didn't have the decency to say it. I'm 17 years old, I will say it to your face, I don't like you anymore.
I wonder what those foster parents are thinking now. Not like Jack Grealish, who may or may not regret flaunting his fancy watches on social media. You'd think his most heartbreaking moment would be losing a big game or something. But this all started when one day Jack posted on Instagram a horrifying revelation. Criminal gangs were after him. All thanks to the thousands of dollars that he wears on his wrist. Pateks, Rolexes, all the expensive watches in the world. No wonder the collection was worth over $1 million. Unfortunately, he made many more headlines when he decided to upgrade to a brand new mega mansion, and the blueprints of the house got leaked. Now the gangs knew how, where, and when to attack the player. December 27, 2023, they struck. They managed to break in, turn off security alarms, steal all the watches, all while leaving no trace behind. Police tried their best to capture the culprits, but so far haven't. And this is when Jack came up with another statement, this time for those culprits. I can't begin to explain how devastated I am over the burglary that took place at my home a few days ago. This has been a traumatic experience for all of us. I'm just so grateful that nobody was hurt. I've had so many amazing experiences and achievements over the last 12 months, but to be honest, the best year of my life in football now doesn't feel like something I can celebrate. The people that commit these terrible crimes have no idea of the damage they cause to people's lives. I hope they're found and brought to justice so no other family has to go through what we have. That's a clean move against those criminals, but what Messi did for Yedlin might be his best move of all time. DeAndre Yedlin was the skipper before Messi joined Inter Miami. When Messi arrived, Yedlin handed over the captain's armband without fuss. After Inter Miami's huge win over Nashville in the League's Cup final, Messi ensured that Yedlin got his due recognition. As the team was about to get on the podium to take the trophy, Messi not only gave the armband back to Yedlin, he also lifted the trophy together with him. Kindness goes a long way, and I believe that Messi and Mesut Özil think the same too. During a match between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid, Mesut Özil showed some naughty fans how to handle bread. You see, for Muslims, bread and all food items are sacred because they see them as God's blessings. So, when one fan threw a piece of bread onto the field, instead of getting offended, Özil picked up the bread, put it to his forehead, kissed it, and then set it aside. Now, before moving to our top 3 picks, let's see the challenging time Manchester City faced when their midfielder, David Silva, received terrible news. His son was born 3 months premature and his life was in danger. Naturally, he couldn't play and rushed to Valencia to be with his wife while doctors fought to save their baby. Manchester City had a crucial match against Tottenham Hotspur, and just moments before the match, Pep Guardiola gave a speech that proved how well bonded that Man City team actually was.
Today you have to win for one reason. We have to win for David Silva and his girlfriend, Jessica. He's suffering the life. When you go out there and you enjoy for him. And we don't go out there and we suffer for him. And remember the situation, today I want the win for David Silva and his girlfriend and his family. Is that clear?
Those words struck a chord with the team, and the players took the field with fire and ended up crushing Tottenham 4-1. Kevin De Bruyne's tribute after scoring a goal was particularly touching. He pointed to the camera and showed the number 21, David's number. Fortunately, David's son pulled through and was saved. But now grab your tissues, friends, because with our top 3, things get really emotional. At number 3, Zlatan. Now, we've all seen our fair share of Zlatan making moves, kicking, shouting, fighting. We never expect this lion of a man to show his vulnerable side to us, but here we are. Despite having the reputation for being one of the fiercest players on the field, beneath that tough exterior, he's got a softer side. That came out during his departure from AC Milan. Zlatan wasn't just a footballer, he was a hero to the people of Milan. He poured his heart and soul into that community, donating his own money to support local causes and spearheading fundraisers for hospitals. On the field, he was a force to be reckoned with, leading AC Milan to victories and titles they hadn't seen in years. But, as they say, all good things must come to an end. When it was time for Zlatan to hang up his boots, AC Milan pulled out all the stops to give him the send-off he deserved. The stadium was packed to the rafters, and as Zlatan stepped onto the pitch for the last time, the atmosphere was electric. Fans were already in tears, and when his teammates presented him with a jersey signed by all of them, it was too much for our lion to bear. Tears streamed down his face as he looked around at the people who had supported him throughout his career. It was a moment of raw emotion, a testament to the impact he made both on and off the field. And in that moment, Zlatan showed us that even the toughest of players have a soft spot. But it's nothing compared to parenting 23 siblings. Patrice Evra, a name synonymous with football greatness. This French left back didn't just grace the pitch, he owned it. He didn't just play for clubs like Man United and Juventus, he dominated for them, winning the Premier League 5 times with United and lifting the prestigious Champions League trophy in 2008. He left his mark. But what makes Evra truly remarkable isn't just his success on the pitch, it's his journey from humble beginnings. Born in Senegal and raised in a gritty neighborhood outside Paris, Evra's childhood was far from easy. With a whopping 23 siblings.
I'm not joking when I say I've got 24 brothers and sisters, and my nephews call me Santa because, you know, when it's Christmas, I try to please everyone, and I want everyone to have a roof and to have food, you know. I just feel blessed.
Life was a constant hustle, but through it all, family remained his rock. Even now, with all the fame and fortune, Evra stays grounded. Sure, he cruises around London in a slick custom Mercedes SLS AMG, but he'll be the first to remind you that what matters most is his family's well-being. His road to success wasn't paved with gold. He's been open about the tough times he faced growing up. Stealing food, fighting to survive, it was a struggle.
That's why I'm not ashamed and afraid to say I steal things, I steal food, I steal clothes, I steal video game, I fight a lot, I beg. You don't have the choice, you know? You don't have a choice, no matter if you're a good boy or bad.
But every hardship only made him stronger. And now, the man is a Santa Claus for his family that just keeps on giving. Honestly, if I had that many siblings, I might have forgotten the name of about half of them. And while we're on forgetting, no one is going to forget in decades what happened in the finals of the FIFA World Cup in 2022. The 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar wrapped up with an absolutely unforgettable final. Argentina started strong, jumping out to a 2-0 lead with goals from Messi and Angel Di Maria.
A breath, a heartbeat. And Messi! Alvarez, here's McAllister. Di Maria is the spare man. Angel Di Maria!
Then, France's Kylian Mbappe brought the drama, scoring twice in quick succession to tie things up and send the game into extra time.
Obliged. France just might. Mbappe, Thuram,
The tension was through the roof as both teams fought hard. In extra time, Messi scored again, making it look like Argentina had this in the bag. But Mbappe wasn't done yet. He completed his hat trick with a late penalty, pushing the game to a nerve-wracking penalty shootout. Argentina's goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez stepped up big time, making the crucial saves and helping Argentina win 4-2 in the shootout. When the final whistle blew, the emotions spilled over. Messi, tears in his eyes, lifted up the World Cup trophy. It was Argentina's 3rd World Cup title and their first since 1986, breaking a 36-year dry spell. For Messi, this was the cherry on top of an incredible career, finally snagging the trophy that had always been just out of reach. But you know, when Messi was just a kid, his doctors told him he may never play football. Or have you heard about the times when CR7 was fined because he celebrated his own goal? Wonder no more, and click on this, 16 things you didn't know about football to find out.